I'm your host for tonight, Mellow. October of 2025 will be a landmark event in the cosmos. Sabertooth. We place our trust in you. Sabertooth. Life is no good without friends. For the world to know, we gotta let it show. Sabertooth. My Lord, we shall be with you for service to others, service to others, service to self. Come on. Oh
Okay, enough of that. Welcome to the show. I have a very special guest today. I'm so excited because, I've been aware of Cathy O'Brien's work probably for like 25 years when I first started to wake up. So, welcome to the show, Cathy. How you doing today?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad to be here. Yeah, I've been speaking out for over 35 years on MKULTRA mind control and healing from it, and it seems like you've been aware of that for some time then.
Oh yeah, since my awakening back in 2005 when I had this paralysis that came over me, so they had to put me in the psych ward, and then they said I was psychosomatic, but you and I both know I went into an altar, and that was the beginning, a rude awakening to how corrupt the system is for me anyway. But um, yeah,
Yeah.
I've come a long way since then, and we've learned about altars. We learned about, of course, back then we called it MPD, and later to call it DID, and now I think there's a new name for it now, um, like depersonalization disorder or something like that. Kathy, I don't know if you follow all the latest.
Oh, I don't. They changed the name so much,
Oh
but
yeah,
the point's the same. It's our brain's natural response to trauma too horrible to comprehend.
okay, great. So, for those of you who don't know, my name is James Rink, and I'm the host of Super Soldier Talk. And what you just saw was a little video put together by Mondello. Shout out to you for putting that music together. So, yeah, there is a conference coming up October 8th to the 12th. I hope you all join us. Hope Kathy joins us too, but we'll wait and see, right? So, okay, so Kath, let's start off with your bio. So, you were born in, well, maybe I shouldn't say what year you were born in, but you were born in Muskegon, Michigan. Did I say that right?
Muskegon, yeah, Muskegon, Michigan.
Muskegon.
Hmm.
And she is a nationally and internationally recognized US government whistleblower on the subject of MK Ultra, mind control, and healing from it. She will talk today about some knowledge about defense against mind control and also some of her own experiences that empowers her insight into the far-reaching effects of mind control on society today. So we're going to learn how to reclaim, protect, and expand free thought. So in 1995, when the U.S. National Security Act was involved in her testimony for U.S. Congressional Permanent Selection Committees on Intelligence Oversight, uh, so you testified there, right? In that committee in 1995?
My testimony was censored under national security, and that was later released in book form in Transformation of America and distributed to all members of Congress and intelligence and all the alphabet agencies. It went everywhere so that the information could not be suppressed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they suppressed the original MK Ultra files from the back in the 1970s, right? With the was it the Church Committee?
Yes, I understand they just were released in December again and declassified, and they're not all redacted, and the information's there. It's validating a lot of survivor claims on their MK Ultra mind control experience and where it occurred, and how pervasive mind control really is. So yeah,
Okay.
the definitely the documentation is out there for people who seek it.
Absolutely. So I have some information for you about the early part of your life. Now, this was from another officer who worked with you. So what I'll do is I'm going to start with slow, and I want you to tell us what you remember, and then I'll share. So
Well,
let's.
I would rather not have someone else's opinion or
Okay.
perception of my
Okay. Well, but he
experience,
but he was
put
there.
out
He
there
was there
because
with you,
my
Kathy. We don't have to
yeah,
share it though. Okay.
yeah, because
Gotcha.
my experience is absolute. My testimony's been the same for
Okay.
over 35 years, and it doesn't change because truth is like that. It doesn't go away. It's
Okay.
absolute.
Well,
It's like an energy force of its own.
what if he rescued you and saved your life?
That Mark Phillips did that in 1988,
Okay.
and anyone else's perceptions or beliefs or whatever they might inject does not
Okay.
change the reality of the experience that is so important for people to understand what the components of mind control really are, what they entail, and what we can do, what we all can do to free ourselves from the pervasiveness that's been imposed on humanity right now.
Absolutely. Thank you. So, how about we start from the beginning? So, when did you first realize something was different about you in your lifetime and what was done to you?
Well, I was born into a multi generational incest based family. My father was sexually and ritually abused. My mother was sexually abused and trafficked to my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge. These secret societies are where secrets on mind control are kept. They're kept secret because knowledge is our defense against it. And my father's sexual abuse began in infancy before I could think to know what he was doing was wrong. But my brain knew because when we understand our brain's natural function against trauma, we understand how the neuron pathways in the brain actually physically shut down around a traumatic event, repress it deep into the subconscious mind so the rest of the mind can develop and function normally. This is called the mind's sane defense to trauma too horrible to comprehend. I certainly couldn't comprehend what he was doing was wrong. I had no ability to judge it in any way. I was just an infant, but the compartmentalization happened just the same. So my father's sexual abuse extended into child pornography. More neuron pathways shut down. It extended into trafficking me to my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge, where the local politicians and law enforcement and everyone hung out. And more compartments shut down. It's important to understand that the shutting down of neuron pathways is very important for mind control. When it shuts down the neuron pathways, it leaves the subconscious mind wide open to being easily led and manipulated. Well, when my father was caught sending child pornography of me through the US mails, a local politician in Muskegon, Michigan, Gerald Ford, who went on to become the unelected president of the United States, granted my father immunity from prosecution if he would agree to sell me into the CIA's MKUltra mind control project. This shows how long our justice system has been corrupted to allow for the proliferation of pedophilia because the pedophile agenda is a mind control agenda. This is all part of information, the formula for mind control that came over into the US in the wake of World War II through Project Paperclip. I encourage everyone to research that for themselves, look into it, see how we imported the Nazi and fascist scientists in. The formula for mind control came in with them, and it's the same, whether it's of an individual, a nation, a classroom, a military, a church, a cult, or the world. And trauma is the basis of it. It had been found through the Hitler-Himmler research there's no trauma more horrific on the human mind than sexual abuse of a child prior to age 5 while the brain is still forming. That's why this pedophile agenda is being pushed so hard. It's a mind control agenda. It's being used to control the whole population, to dumb us down, numb us down, and make us more compliant and easily led. So, understanding those components, it's easy to see how I was targeted for MK Ultra mind control so early on in my life.
Wow, thank you. So, what percentage of politicians do you think are involved in the network? I guess politicians is kind of like a general term, right? Maybe federal level, right?
Yeah, I think that the formula for mind control is a sliding scale from the kind of torturous, robotic MK Ultra mind control I experienced on a White House Pentagon level to information control. Because we all formulate our thoughts, our opinions, and ultimately our actions based on what we know. And we need to know that knowledge base has been altered for a long, long time. So likewise it is with politicians. There's varying levels of it. There are those who are openly compliant with this globalist agenda. There are those who have been coerced, blackmailed, bought off, or manipulated into complying with it. And then there are those who have endured mind control because they would not comply with it and were manipulated through trauma based mind control or technological aspects of mind control or whatever. So, in that regard, James, it's really hard to name a number on it when there's varying levels of how manipulated a certain politician might be and for what reasons.
Thank you. So back in 1995, I was just curious. I went to a Billy Graham rally, and my mother forced me to go down to get saved. Right, so they did the prayer over me. But what can you tell us about Billy Graham? Was he a victim of circumstance? Was he a good guy? What do you think?
Billy Graham was, according to who became my owner in MK Ultra Mind Control, U.S. Senator Robert C. Byrd. Senator Byrd claimed to manipulate him through the voice of God programming, which is very similar to a voice to skull type programming. Only it's when someone is praying, they think they hear the voice of God, and it's actually a programmer leading them into certain circumstances. And through him talking, just saying that Billy Graham was under that form of mind control so that they could promote the political agenda through the congregations, through the churches, through the people that were following him. Plus, from what was discussed around me and what Senator Byrd was saying, he had the harmonic equipment for his congregation so that it would vibrate the neuron pathways in the brain and make more people easily led and manipulated. So it was a combination of all of which was this globalist government agenda pushing itself through the churches. It's done that through many churches in many different ways. And Billy Graham was one of the first that was manipulated to the degree that he was to lead people into this New World Order globalist slave society agenda.
Thank you for that. Okay. Wow. So when did you first start working for Senator Byrd, and what was your primary role or duties?
Well, after my father sold me into the project, I was taken to Mackinac Island, Michigan, which is where the governor's mansion is located. It was the Epstein Island of its time. It's where the global leaders met to
Yeah.
decide how they
By the
would
way, I
govern.
had a video deleted. They said we were bullying and harassing him by saying, talking. So let's just use some code words when referring to that guy. Yeah, but we both know the truth about it. But go ahead, Kathy. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, and Mackinac Island, Michigan, it was the where the blackmail tapes were being made to compromise these various global leaders and where they just discussed what their plan was for manipulating the population, infiltrating the school systems, the churches, and all like that. So I was used in those blackmail operations right from the get go, right while I was very young. I was prostituted to various leaders and assaulted by them at that time in Mackinac Island, Michigan. By the time I was 13 years old, Senator Byrd had been involved in extremely traumatic abuse of me there, and he became my owner in MK Ultra Mind Control at the age of 13. As my owner, he directed my activities. He decided who I would be prostituted to and where and when, what CIA black ops I would be used in, which government operations, who my handlers would be, how I would be programmed, where I would be taken to various military, NASA, and DARPA installations for sophisticated MK Ultra mind control programming. So, as my owner, Byrd directed all of my activities the whole time I was under MK Ultra mind control, the first 30 years really of my life.
Okay, thank you. Well, how about let's go into this question then. So could you explain the difference between MK Ultra, Artichoke, Monarch, and maybe even DARPA? Like what was all their different involvements? So MK Ultra, Artichoke, Monarch, and DARPA.
Well, MK Ultra had many sub projects. DARPA is the artificial intelligence, high tech um, form of mind control used by NASA. It's affiliated with NASA and is a mind control mechanism unto itself through artificial intelligence. Um, and it's not necessarily a part of the MK Ultra program. It was used for programming in MK Ultra. Monarch is the sub project of MK Ultra that I was used in because of the multi-generational aspect. That's what Monarch is about. It had also been found in Hitler Himmler research that after 3 generations, any knowledge base, abuse base, or belief system becomes autogenic in the brain. It means it's passed down genetically, and we're just born with that information. And the goal of Monarch is really the one that has been used on the global population now for generations to condition us to accept this globalist slave society agenda, to get us to accept their mind control agenda of our children through the pedophile agenda being pushed, to buy into the trauma bases of occult, satanic ritual abuse, and even alien themed programs. Any program that is out of our realm to affect, or that we perceive as out of our realm to affect, is what they use to manipulate the mind. And Monarch was the one that was being used to condition people to accept these agendas. And it's gotten to the point now, where the pedophile agenda has grown so big that child sex trafficking has become the most lucrative business in the world. So that's the funding mechanism of this globalist agenda, and people have allowed for it to happen because of the components of MK Ultra Project Monarch imposed on all of us.
Thank you. So this is what I wrote in my book about Project MK Ultra, Monarch, Montauk. Well, I just go in the MK Ultra part. So MK Ultra was a CIA umbrella project which consisted of 149 sub-projects. MK Ultra psychiatrists conducted studies in narco-hypnosis, memory erasure, implants, ESP, sleep deprivation, etc. These experiments took place primarily in the 1950s and 60s. So we both know it's probably still going on today, right, Cathy?
Right.
There are facilities all over the place. So the German word Menschen, which is means human, and control is the control that with a K. With control is the ultra arm of the German military intelligence under ultra secret. So victims are sometimes referred to as Mark Ultra. According to MIB agent Jimmy Payne, MK Ultra stands for manufactured killers utilizing tradecraft requiring assassination. Does that resonate with you at all?
Oh, that just makes sense on a lot of levels, and I think that one of the important things that you had mentioned there was like the sleep deprivation and the other components of mind control. The formula is the same. Trauma is the basis of it, but the other components are sleep, food, and water deprivation because they starve our brains too. Mind control needs to shut down neuron pathways in the brain, and we need to open them back up. And to have our brain firing properly, we need good nutrition, plenty of fresh water, and plenty of rest. That is why our food is being tainted right now. It's bioengineered, genetically altered to starve our brains of necessary nutrients to keep it firing. Our water, got fluoride in our water, and who knows what else. And that's to dumb us down too, and to
Hmm.
keep our brains from firing properly when you consider that our brains are made up primarily of water. The sleep deprivation, working 9 to 5, 5 to 9 to get to put food on the table that has no nutritional value, that still has people dumbed down. Our brains are not firing the way they should. We're not thinking as clearly as we should if we don't get enough rest. So all of these things are components of MK Ultra mind control, many of which are very deliberately and strategically measured and enforced on it, like in the military and through MK Ultra mind control, like I experienced. So those are components of it that have been used on the whole population now. And the more we know, the more we see that MK Ultra is exactly what is being used to lull the people to sleep. It's why we're experiencing trauma after trauma. And when mind control, masked as a virus, was unleashed on the global population, that gave everyone a very clear um, taste of what MK Ultra mind control is all about.
Thank you, Kathy. So MK Ultra is for boys, Monarch is for the girls. Would you agree with that?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's Monarch is for both, and it doesn't matter male or female, and that trauma affects our brains the same, and so with trauma, the basis of it, and the sleep, food, and water deprivation, that's definitely just components used across the board, whether it's on the military or if it's used on sex slaves, like how I was used. The formula is exactly the same.
Thank you, Kathy. So we know fluoride was used in the German camps, so it's like a form of chemical lobotomy, right? It
Yeah,
makes you passive.
yeah.
Yeah. So people are like, "Oh, so why don't you just take your medicine?" That's what they like to joke with us, Kathy. Say you should take your medication, but then they're the ones on the medication. They drink that fluoridated water for sure.
Yeah, and speaking of medication, look at big pharma, and all the ways they want to dope people up and keep them from remembering who they are and why they're here. It just dumbs them down even further and stops them from realizing that, we have been blessed with the most resilient body, mind, and spirit. We have a capacity for healing and for resiliency above and beyond their our bodies are made more than perfect. We have so much ability for healing. And I think that's, you know, just a really important aspect of our humanity that we need to reclaim is the truth of what we're really capable of because we are superhuman. We are absolutely amazing what we can do.
So, Kathy, did you ever get to meet Hitler? I believe he was taken to the United States. What do you think of that? Hitler,
Oh,
Himmler,
I have no idea, and I'm sure
Himmler?
the time frame's not there, and
Okay.
it wasn't any part of my experience. But
Yeah.
I think we've got a lot to consider in the way history has been rewritten and the reality of what has happened. When you consider that we didn't win World War II, we imported it into the U.S., and it's right there. We can all research it for ourselves. Project Paperclip and see. We didn't win World War II. We brought it here. We can't have a World War III. We haven't realized World War II is still going on. It's just still all part of it. But the Great Awakening is happening. More and more people are realizing that we've been manipulated for a long, long time, and are starting to question, our knowledge base, what we have been told. We have so much more to learn than what we've been manipulated to believe.
Did you ever get to meet Andy Perot? Remember
I'm
Andy?
not even familiar with the name.
Yeah, the Project Superman guy. Okay. All right. So that was back in the '90s when he put that book out. Yeah, he said he was taken to the Rochester University Library, and there were Germans there programming. Oh, by the way, he murdered somebody. So unfortunately, that's another reason why we need to bring awareness MK Ultra, because a lot of people are sleepers, and
Absolutely.
yeah,
Good point.
we
So many of the school shootings are MK Ultra related. The indoctrination of children in the school system is taking away their free thought. It's teaching them what to think rather than how to think. And as they lose that capacity for knowing how to think, they're more susceptible and suggestible to being triggered into pulling a trigger. So we got to realize um, how many ways mind control has been used on our society.
Yeah, thank you. So, did you ever see any super soldiers in the program or superhuman abilities?
My gosh, there's so many superhuman abilities when you look at military special forces, the capacities that they had. They can take a bullet and keep on going. I was seeing something the other day of someone that took a vast number of bullets and kept going. But that's because they have that no time to bleed programming. Our brains, of course, regulate our blood flow and our heartbeat. So, if mind control can manipulate that mechanism from the outside, imagine what we can do by manipulating that mechanism from within. So, in my programming, the hands-on mind control demonstrations I was used in on military bases regulated that blood flow, shutting it on and off. And as I deprogram that, and deprogram the program first. And as I wrote that out, not only did it diffuse that program, but it gave me control over that aspect of my brain. So that's something that we all can do when we remember that we're the ones in control of our brains. Our brains have amazing capabilities over our bodies. And if they can use it in mind control for adverse purposes, then imagine what we can do driving it with free will strength of spirit. It's evolutionary, where we go from here as we wake up from the mind manipulation we've endured to start driving our own brains and being able to use them for good, health, and well being.
Well, thank you. So, what are some of the ways handlers induce dissociation and also or create alternate personalities?
In my experience, I already had the various compartmentalized memory, the alters, whatever we want to call it, the different compartmentalized memory that separated from each other through the different traumas that I endured, even in infancy. Those were already shutting down. Then they were later programmed through Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino. He was my primary MKUltra mind control programmer on various military, NASA, and DARPA installations. And he used the language of the subconscious, neurolinguistic programming, um, and further torture and trauma, um, stun guns, all kinds of mind manipulation that way. So the physical and psychological tortures that I endured are what ultimately left me wide open to being programmed through MK Ultra mind control and their various means. So then um, when however I was programmed, that could be triggered open by people who knew the codes, keys, and triggers to that programming to access various program messages or whatever operations I was used in, that are all detailed in my 1995 testimony for Congress Transformation of America. So, I suggest everyone look into that further. It was proven by clean members of intelligence and law enforcement. The evidence was in, and the evidence is still in, and national security was invoked on that testimony. But nevertheless, everybody can read it. It's in book form, Transformation of America. It's on Audible, or it's secured on my website at trance-formation.com.
Absolutely, thank you. So let's go to the next question. So can we create the abilities? MK Ultra, it seems to unlock our hidden talents, right?
Yeah.
But can it be unlocked through not trauma? I mean, can we do positive reinforcement to unlock?
Absolutely. We just forgot what our brains are capable of. Intelligence insider Mark Phillips found the information on our birthright mind brain function buried under national security. It was kept from mental health, it was kept from medical community and society as a whole. That information is posted on my website too, in PTSD Time to Heal. It's just a reminder of those capabilities that we all have within us. When we lose our free thought to extreme trauma, we develop heightened intuition, 44 times visual acuity, telepathy, heightened senses of vibrational frequencies. We have a lot of primitive defense mechanisms in our brain that come into play to compensate for our lack of free thought. Those abilities are otherwise dormant in our brains, but they're there. They're ours, and we just need to remember how to use them. And without having any trauma to remember it, a good way to start exercising it is to connect with a pet, an animal like a horse or a dog. They're very, very telepathic, and that that information that they convey, that they want to go for a walk, and it, and they know it, and so they get excited, and no words have been exchanged. Well, start exercising that. Give it place, project thought, and watch how the response comes around. You can exercise it that way. It's like when we think of somebody and they call or text, did did we telepathically attune to them? Did we intuitively sense they were going to contact us? Did we manifest it by thinking of it? What really brought that all about? Start exercising it. Try it out. Think of it on purpose. See what happens. And those are ways that we can start exercising the natural abilities that we actually experience every day, but we haven't consciously acknowledged. When we consciously acknowledge it, we are able to start exercising it and access it at will. It's an amazing capability that we all have. And in my case, it was important on the healing level to keep those, because as I reopened the neuron pathways of my brain and I healed from within myself, I still had access to those capabilities. Just because they were used adversely doesn't make them bad. They're amazing. So I use those and keep those active all the time, the intuitions, all of it. What that has done has given me an extra defense mechanism, an extra heightened defense capability that keeps me on alert without having to have an overactive adrenal system. Because when people have been tortured, they're jumpy, their adrenal system's out of control. But if we allow,
I got like these shakes.
yeah,
From the
if we
PTSD.
allow for those other things to kick in, it soothes the overactive adrenals. It even can stop night terrors, when we tap into those parts of our brain, because they're there for us for a good reason. And um, it can calm things down so well. We definitely don't need any pharmaceuticals to do it. We have the capability ourselves.
Thank you. So, can alters be created like at any age, or is it typically early age, like 2, 3, 5, whatever? Yeah.
I think probably any age, especially with the technological advancements that there are now. We need to be aware of that. But ultimately, it happens prior to age 5 while the brain is still forming. That's why the Hitler-Himmler research was so focused on targeting the children. That's why the children are targeted to the degree that they continue to be to date, because that is the most vulnerable time of our brain that creates that compartmentalization of memory, that shutting down of neuron pathways that stays that way as the rest of the brain develops. So we can heal from that even no matter how early it starts. It's easy to reclaim full access to our own minds and open those neuron pathways back up, as PTSD Time to Heal, shows us. Um, and it's important that everyone everywhere exercise it all the time, because James, there's like a simple brain hack we all can do of picking up a pen, because the very act of moving a pen activates the logic critical analysis part of the brain. It can take repressed trauma and shift it over to logic where it's written out on paper and consciously acknowledged. And all of a sudden, you're healing psychiatrically, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. It all happens all at once because we're opening neuron pathways of the brain. Again, mind control shuts them down. We need to open them up. You add good nutrition to that, pure water, plenty of rest. We get our brains firing real well. And everybody everywhere needs to do that. Pick up a pen and paper, write out your fear, write out your trauma, write out whatever's immobilizing you, write out your guilt, write out your grief. People deal with so much these days. Write all that out and then add a solution. If you add a solution, you're forcing your brain to fire in more new ways again. It lifts you out of the dark pit of negativity. It lifts you above the storm, so to speak, so you get a clear view forward. It's a way to be able to rise above all that, and above all, get your brain firing, open those neuron pathways. And when we do that, no matter what we're bombarded with, no matter what trauma is imposed on us, no matter what we experience, we can maintain our self control and our inner peace the way that it's intended to be. So that's just a simple little brain hack that we all can do. Get out in nature, breathe in the air, feel the sun on our skin, feel the earth beneath our feet. These are important parts of our humanity that we need to stay tapped into, because our humanity is under attack. And that way, we won't be misled to do something that we otherwise wouldn't do. We won't be misled by media's repetitive narrative bombarding us with the same narrative over and over again, while our conscious mind's frozen in fright of a virus. Then we're not going to be misled by the repetitive narrative of mask up, get the injection, social distance. How many times did we hear that? That programs the subconscious. And if we pick up that pen and paper and override it, then it cannot drive our conscious thoughts. We diffuse it before it becomes a program. And this is important for all of us to do every day in order to maintain self control, inner peace, and live life the way that it's intended to be lived.
Wow, thank you. That's amazing. I found years ago I was doing some biofeedback. That's where they put the electrodes in your head and you try to move the screen. So yeah, ultimately they I started off with a OCD protocol, and then they switched to PTSD. So that's how I knew. That's when I first was diagnosed with PTSD. But yeah, thank you for that. Certainly.
Yeah.
So okay. So if you were making the false accusations, it would be considered slander. So considering no legal convictions have been made from your allegations, do you believe the justice system is complicit, corrupt, or just simply unequipped to handle crimes of this nature?
It's corrupted by the National Security Act. National security was invoked on my testimony, and when it was, I realized I would never see conventional justice. But if we think about it, a judge banging a gavel and telling me I'm right when I already have validated and knew it was true, isn't going to make any difference. What's going to make the difference is the ultimate justice of positive change through public awareness. When people become aware, that's when the positive changes start occurring in society, because awareness is a first step towards positive change. That's why it's so important what you're doing, James, right here, right now. I appreciate you giving me voice. I appreciate all you do to raise awareness in light of what you know, because the more we know, the more we see how absolutely absurd it is for us to be following these self appointed, self anointed global leaders that we didn't elect when we have all the power within us. They only have as much power as we give them or let them steal. To me, people waking up to realize who they are and why they're here and reclaiming their own power is a much more powerful form of justice than our corrupted justice system could ever bring about.
Oh, well. Did you ever get to meet Arizona Wilder or work with her?
I have met her, and I met her while she's on her learning path, and I hadn't connected with her since then. But there have been many survivors come forward. There's so many coming forward today. It's absolutely encouraging to see the vast numbers coming forward, and they're coming forward with very different stories, a lot of different information. It's like we're all carrying our own piece of the puzzle to the table. And when we put it all together, it brings the big picture into focus. Everyone doesn't need to bring the same picture, the same piece of the puzzle to the table, and so often people think that's how it works, and it's not. It's as vastly different as our individual experiences, and it brings a big picture into focus. So I'm very thrilled with the number of survivors who are healing and are um, able to come forward without being triggered back in by their abusers. And to not be triggered requires opening those neuron pathways in the brain and healing from within. That more and more people are doing that, and it's encouraging to see.
Thank you. Could you share a little bit more about your marriage with Wayne Cox? Did you know he was evil, or how did that was that all
There, yeah,
intentional?
there was no point to what I knew or didn't know about him. Senator Byrd appointed him as my handler. As my handler, he subjected me to further trauma in the swamps of Louisiana. He was a CIA assassin. He was an occult serial killer. He was working the um, Clinton Mina cocaine operations, along beside Bill Clinton's half brother, Roger Clinton, who was part of Wayne Cox's cult. So none of that was any of my choice. It was appointed by Senator Byrd. And when someone becomes a handler like that, very often we're married in so that there's like a cover of being married instead of it just appearing as a handler. So Wayne Cox is no one I ever would have had anything to do with. He was somebody that I was programmed to be with, and he was somebody that traumatized me horrifically.
Did you know he was a cannibal? I mean, or when did? Or yeah.
Well, I definitely witnessed that. And I also knew that he was part of the groundwork for the adrenochrome and
Yeah, we,
using,
we say drug that rhymes with a popular Google browser
yeah,
for the
because
censor.
that is used, that was gained from satanic ritual when they would drink blood, and then that just became um, their their drug of choice, and it has later been developed into what we're seeing today. But it's still used through the adrenalized blood of victims, and it's absolutely horrific and needs to stop. But those are not things that I had any conscious of at the time, all it did was just split my mind and shatter it further for programming later by Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino. So the occult basis of that trauma allowed for the occult basis of his MKUltra mind control programming.
What was your interactions with George Bush Sr.?
George Bush was in my victimization. You look back at Gerald Ford's cabinet when he was given the office of president in the wake of the Kennedy assassination for his for heading the Warren Commission that covered it up. In his cabinet, he had George Bush to head the CIA, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, the one who gave us aspartame, that was one of the first genetic engineered, bioengineered foods, um, substance to dumb us down and starve our brains, that artificial sweetener. He had Henry Kissinger. Everyone can research for themselves. They came up with the first depopulation agenda together. He had the Nelson Rockefeller, Jack Valenti, head of the Motion Picture Association of America. All those people were key players in MKUltra mind control. And George Bush was one that I was exposed to strongly throughout my victimization. And much of my testimony in Transformation of America details what I was exposed to with George Bush and what he subjected me to, and above all, what he subjected my daughter to, because George Bush was very much behind the pedophile agenda.
Thank you. So let's go to. So, did George Bush ever shapeshift into a reptilian?
He created an illusion of it, and it was done through holographic images. And that was by deprogramming the program first, I could hear the setup. It's like, why would they have to tell me that that was happening? Why wouldn't it just have happened? And, I think we've got a lot to explore in what shape shifting could really be, what the dimensional alien aspects might be, what time travel might be. We have so many things to look at other than the one deliberately created illusion. And the reason that one particular illusion was created is because it is the most primitive fear in the human mind. When humanity had to survive reptiles so early on, that became a fear mechanism of the brain. It's so much a part of our brain fear mechanism that it's even in the Bible as the serpent. We have that reptilian aspect in the Bible, and it's all fear based, and it's all this part of the same manipulation of that fear within our minds, which is rooted in the fear of death. So that program was put into place, but the reality is George Bush was talking about um, aliens at Bohemian Grove. And again, that's in my testimony for Congress, Transformation of America. And he was talking about how aliens are us in the future, that it's all about time travel, it's all about dimensional travel, and what they're able to do technologically and otherwise as a result of that capacity. So it's not like he sat around talking about shape shifting with his shape shifting friends. That wasn't the reality. The reality was they're tapped into something else, um, far different, that again goes directly into DARPA and the artificial intelligence driving the DARPA generated plan.
Thank you. Let's go on here. So we'll skip this question. So Reagan, was he a good guy? Did he treat you well, or was he abusive too?
Reagan was endured the horrific trauma when the assassination attempt occurred. Reagan was not cooperating with the New World Order, and it was planned that they were going to eliminate him. And the plan to eliminate him didn't work, but they were able to still maintain control of his administration from that point going forward. And again, that was George Bush. Having been around George Bush, I can assure you he ran Reagan's administration. He and Dick Cheney have run many administrations behind the scene. And he definitely ran Reagan's. I wonder what Reagan would have done had he been in control of his own mind. Um, and it kind of goes back to what you asked earlier, James, about creating alters later. You can definitely create enough of a trauma with something like that assassination attempt, and then the mind control techniques being um, used on him from there to have created that. I have no idea what he would have been otherwise, what he would have chose, but the information and transformation of America is what happened. And I don't know if that is what Reagan would have chose had he been, free of his own. So I can make no judgment, good or bad, but I can say that he never hurt me, and he certainly never touched my daughter. Um, George Bush was always the one with my daughter. So, um, yeah.
So, he said that none of the money through the IRS goes to the federal government, right? So, and then soon after was John Hinckley assassinated him, right? So, and he was
Yeah.
friends with the Bush family. So,
Right.
and then they're saying that like he was a clone, like he changed after that. I don't know, Kathy. I mean, we can only speculate at this point, but
Wow. Yeah. Well, I know that Bush was actively involved in that assassination attempt. It's why he was vice president. He was going to take over the presidency. And there was a great debate going on. And people can even research it for themselves in the Republican National Committee right up to the midnight hour, whether or not Ronald Reagan was going to choose George Bush as his running mate or Gerald Ford. And it was decided then that he would choose Bush. Bush would rather be the power behind the scene rather than um, actually have had the presidency. But they couldn't really put Gerald Ford in again unelected. They'd already done it once in the wake of the Kennedy assassination. So Bush was the one who was in place. These are all things that I had been privy to in my MKUltra experience being around these perpetrators, and the discussions that they had leading up to the assassination attempt, and then how Bush took over from that point going forward to run Reagan's administration through 2 terms.
thank you. So, I had a video deleted by talking about this. So, what I'll say is that there was a particular Mossad agent that was running a honey trap on an island in the tropics. So, why do you think Trump doesn't want to release the files? What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, my thoughts are I can't imagine why they would have been released. There's too much attached to that information that can unravel the rest of this globalist agenda that goes beyond the perversion, that goes beyond the blackmail, that goes to the ones holding the blackmail, the puppet masters at the top, the self appointed, self anointed global leaders. Ultimately, this whole thing's got to be unraveled, and there's a really good opportunity for unraveling this mess by through this aspect. Another important thing to note, James, of course, is that knowing who was on the island or whatever, that includes the victims, the victimizers, and people who were there that later became whistleblowers because of what they saw and experienced. So there's a whole conglomeration to sort out. But until people understand mind control and the components of it, until mind control is factored into that equation, it will be very hard for people to discern, all right, who's good, who's bad, what's the intention, what's it all about, and above all, why was it even done? And that's the most important part. And I'm so acutely aware of how this global uh, domination slave society agenda has been put forward all these years. It's been going on my whole life. It's going to take a lot to unravel it. So I think that the reasons are above and beyond what we know at this time, but I fully expect that more perpetrators will go down in this process. um, if we if we had that list right now, we still don't have a justice system to even prosecute them through. You know, our justice system's still too corrupted for so-called reasons of national security. You know, again, we got to start factoring mind control into the equation, and we've got a long way to go to to clean this up, and a long way to go before we can start making judgments.
Wow, thank you. Well, we got a lot of questions from the chat. Let's see if I can pick some of the better ones, I think. So how about we start with this one here from someone's asking about Dick Cheney. What were your experiences with him?
They were absolutely horrific. He was extremely brutal, and he was very fond of the trauma of human hunting, the most dangerous game. That's something, it's a military maneuver for survival for the military that they took on recreationally to hunt humans. So it was very traumatic. And the further details, the operations that I had to work under him from his Pentagon office are detailed in Transformation of America. But he was absolutely brutal and horrific, very close friend of George Bush.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next question. Okay, well, this is where was Shaney a massive Satanist? Okay, thank you. I think did you answer that? Or we can go next one. All right. Okay, we are in weapons grade hypnosis programming. Can Cathy suggest things to avoid that we may that's programming us? I like, for instance, like flat screen. Sorry, flat screen TVs, right? The sync rate or the flicker rate is syncing with our brain. But anything else?
Yeah, oh, and the harmonics and the repetitive narrative. And again, PTSD, time to heal, will help people be able to discern that and reclaim their knowledge, their birthright knowledge. That's our defense against mind control of any form, of any level of manipulation. Is posted on my website, trance-formation.com, can be downloaded in ebook form. And it's secured there with a pay what you can if you can option, so everyone can have it regardless of income. They can zero out the cost and have the information now. But that's our birthright information that we all need to know so that we have a defense against it and recognize what in the world is going on around us. Above all, pick up that pen and paper, write out trauma, write out fear, write out what's holding you back from living life the way that it's intended to be lived, with clarity and open neuron pathways in the brain.
It almost feels like a form of automatic writing. You're just talking to your higher self to try to integrate, because our soul is, I mean, ultimately the trauma is, our soul is like a crystalline being. So when you abuse it, it cracks, right? Just like a crystal would crack through frequency, too much frequency, but it can heal too over time. So
And yeah, in my perspective and experience, without free thought, if it's manipulated in any way, it distorts free will. Without free will, we have no soul expression. Without soul expression, we lose our ability to discern truth. We lose our compassion for each other. We lose our ability to go within ourselves and align with the divine within, to align with our life's purpose, why we're even here, who we are, to gather the strength of the human spirit and the infinite power of love. So this aspect of our humanity is under attack. Mind control is a spiritual warfare in that regard. And we can all reclaim it by reclaiming our free thought first, and then reactivating the rest from there.
Cathy, have any current politicians contacted you in some way to support you?
I have a lot of support from intelligence and from politics, and I'm very excited that my voice is heard on the healing end, because the information that isn't PTSD time to heal, that ability to heal from within, that intelligence insider Mark Phillips reminded me of, our birthright information, is something that we all need to reclaim, because it was suppressed for so many generations that we have forgot. I'm very happy to have my voice being heard for the children's sake, for the numerous trafficked children who are being rescued, for all of the safe houses that are being opened outside our corrupted system, and being free to be able to make the positive difference I've waited a lifetime for, I'm finally able to do now.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to this question here. Um, what was some of the biggest reasons you're still going so strong and shining so bright, whereas many of the others have gone by? And I want to mention in particular, a lot of the people that went through this trauma have become like drunks, drug addicts. They're mentally insane. Some of them have gone back into unfortunately, the sexual abuse. They're abuser now. So why is it that you're so different?
Because of having healed from within myself, through what intelligence insider Mark Phillips found working the highest levels of intelligence mind sciences, um, that is our birthright information. How fortunate for me that he was disgusted with how mind control was being used on the global population, how it was being used on individuals like me and my daughter. And he lifted us right out of the Washington, D.C. human trafficking swamp and handed me keys to my own mind. Those keys allowed for me to heal from within, to pick up that pen and paper, to write out the trauma, open the neuron pathways in my brain. And all the methods that he taught me are right there in that tiny little workbook, PTSD Time to Heal. It's easy to self apply because it's birthright. You know, it's what we have within us all along. So that information on how I was able to heal is now available to everyone, everywhere, and more people are applying it to themselves. Any outside intrusion from like a hypnotist to help us heal, is our brain recognizes that as more intrusion, and the healing will not occur. Just like the neuron pathway shut down in my brain while I was an infant, before I could think to know that what was happening was wrong. Likewise, our brains know when we're safe. And when we're in a safe place, the neuron pathways start to open back up again. And when they do, that's our time to pick up a pen and paper, to understand that that is normal mind brain function, to not have to fear what we're seeing, but to write it out and reclaim that aspect of our brain. When we have bad therapy, when we're religiously indoctrinated that it's Satan and they need to cast out demons, it's taken us far away from this capability that we have within us, this resiliency of body, mind, and spirit to heal. So it's very important that we heal ourselves from within, free of outside input, and reclaim our birthright to free thought, free will, soul expression, that strength of spirit, the ability to align with the divine. And it's because of that healing on all those levels that I'm not triggerable, that I am strong in who I am, and that I know my own truth. I celebrate the joy of knowing that we have this capability. I celebrate the joy of knowing that we can free ourselves from fear and trauma. I celebrate the knowing that these handful of global puppet masters at the top of this mind control slave society agenda fear our strength of the human spirit, because it's such a high vibration. They're just a low, dark, negative vibration energy force that can't reach the heights of our innate energy. When we've realized that, we realize our victory. It's like game over. Their darkness can't creep in on our light anymore. We win. It's so I celebrate that victory, and I just keep living the love I am, free of fear, free of their mind manipulation. It's a celebration of life, the way that it's intended to be lived. That I strive to share with everyone, everywhere, so that everyone remembers and everyone has access to this freedom, this wonderful aspect of life, the way it's intended to be lived.
Thank you, Cathy. So we're definitely past the 1 hour mark. Is this a good place to stop, or did you want to answer a few more questions?
This is a perfect place to stop.
Yeah.
And I certainly appreciate this conversation. This has been absolutely amazing. And I appreciate all you do to raise awareness and bring truth to light.
Thank you. Wow, I really appreciate it coming from Cathy O'Brien. Wow, so I'm so glad I got to meet you finally in person. You are a national treasure for sure. All the experiences you've been through, you need to be on national TV, a broadcast around the entire world. These stories need to come out to the public. The people need to know the truth, and it will help wake them up. So we've been
Yeah.
so many people are asleep right now. They're just, I don't even think they'll be able to. Well, we just think of it like a child who grow up, right? So they will grow up if we give them the information,
Yeah.
but they got to get yeah, they're like in a
Yeah.
trance, as you say,
Yep.
transformation America. So
Exactly.
okay, thank you. Well, so everybody go to Healing Soul Survivors if you'd like to make a donation and support some of the work that I do. And that money will be used to help support the conference that's coming up. Again, that's supersoldiercon.com, October 8th to the 12th in Orlando, Florida. We're going to have about 30 speakers, and about 20 of them are going to be super soldiers or secret space program experiencers, people who had experiences off world, experiences with trauma. Like we have Laura Worley. She's similar to you, Cathy O'Brien. I need to
Yeah.
interview her. And it's going to be an amazing event. You should come out. We're going to have healers there too. So also, you can go to neologicaltech.com, purchase a copy of my book here. It's 400 pages. I go into some of my own experiences, and I do, like what I read earlier, some of that. I do have some of the mind control stuff in there. And any final comments?
I appreciate it. It's just absolutely wonderful. People can find me and reach out to me through my website at trance-formation.com. And again, PTSD Time to Heal is posted there for you right now, um, with a pay what you can, if you can option, so that you can have it and start reclaiming your joy and your freedom, and live your love too.
And what's the name of your book?
PTSD, Time to Heal. That's that book. And of course, Transformation of America and Access Denied for Reasons of National Security are also on my website, along with many blog posts and interviews and yeah, a lot of information there.
Okay, so somebody said I didn't mention where to find you. I mean, it's in the description, so
Yeah.
people, you should read. We can provide you the information, but if you're not searching for it, it's so easy to project. Thank you. So, all right, guys, let's end it. It's been an interesting conversation here today. Thank you, Cathy. Let's get off of this, and everybody, stay tuned for this message from Lifewave. We'll see you all later. Goodbye, everybody. See ya. Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into something really exciting, the Lifewave X39 patch. To help us understand how this works, we have Lifewave brand partner Arthur Gross here. Thanks for joining us, Arthur.
Thanks for having me, James. I'm excited to talk about this revolutionary technology.
So, I've been hearing a lot about this X39 patch. Can you explain a little bit more on how it works?
Absolutely. The X39 patch is groundbreaking because it uses phototherapy, specifically photobiomodulation, to activate your body's natural GHK copper peptide levels. This, in turn, reactivates your stem cells, which helps reset over 4,000 genes to how they worked when you were younger. Think back to your 20s.
Wow, all that just from wearing an X39 patch.
Exactly. The patch uses a patented, non-invasive nanocrystal technology that reflects specific wavelengths of light from your body's infrared light. When it touches your skin, it stimulates biochemical changes that trigger the production of peptides and amino acids. This increases mitochondrial energy, boosts healthy stem cell activity, and helps with overall cellular repair.
Wow, that sounds incredible. But a lot of people might be wondering how safe they are.
The X39 patch is completely safe. It's been clinically proven and is recognized by the FDA as a general wellness product. Plus, it's non-transdermal and non-invasive, meaning nothing actually enters your body, and there are no chemicals involved.
Wow, so we have no topical creams, injections, or anything like that.
Exactly. It's as easy as wearing a small patch, and it's also waterproof and showerproof, so you can wear it throughout the day without worry.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, I've read a lot about various expensive stem cell therapies. How would the X39 compare to some of these other type of options?
Traditional stem cell therapies can cost thousands of dollars, but the X39 patch offers a much more affordable solution. It's designed to work naturally with your body and is available at a fraction of the cost while still being 96% effective on activating your body's stem cells.
I can see why so many people are excited about this. So, if someone is interested in trying the X39 patch, what can they expect from wearing the patch?
Most people notice an increase in energy, faster recovery from physical activities, and even improvements in overall health and wellness. It really helps to revitalize your body by supporting stem cell production and resetting your genes.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Where can people learn more and try the X39 patch?
If they click the link below the description, it'll take you to James Rink's Lifewave website, which helps you get started. It's such an easy and effective way to tap into your body's natural healing abilities. If you have any questions, please send us an email at liveyounger.jmr@gmail.com.
Wow, thank you, author, for shedding light on this amazing technology. The X39 patch sounds like a must try for anyone looking to feel more youthful and energized.
My pleasure, James. It's definitely worth exploring.
Please consider supporting Super Soldier Talk by purchasing your own Neo Meditation device. Your Neo Meditation device will help you reduce stress, integrate trauma, enhance intuition, enhance clairvoyance, and enhance creativity. Get yours now at www.neologicaltech.com.